Hello and welcome to today's Lol Esports video. As if you can't tell, I have the mic a few feet farther away from me than normal, so if it's a little lower, turn it up. Today's video will be about fan engagement, media engagement, how I think the region, especially the LCS or LEC, even lesser to a lesser degree the East when it comes to team parity. We see salary cap in the LPL now, and it's the wild west with who can spend more money. We see teams going with budget rosters, how to avoid budget rosters, and then not only that, how teams can build a fan base, at least in my opinion. A couple different topics here, but neither one can encompass a whole video, if you will. Talking about this salary cap thing is going to take me 2 minutes, and then the rest is going to be a lot longer. So how do I feel about the salary cap? Salary cap is good. I am pro salary cap. Salary caps make it so that the big orgs cannot screw over the little orgs. So salary cap is good. And let's just say hypothetically a salary cap is set at $5 million. Right? So $5 million salary cap is set at. Pretty standard. On Hotline League, I believe they were talking about this last week, or it could have been even the week before. I think Papa Smithy was in the chat. Andrew Barton was on, and they started talking a little bit about LCK salaries, LCS salaries, and how the LCK, the top 5 teams, average $1 million possibly for the players, as in $1 million each for the top 5 LCK teams, where LCS was $700,000. So 5 mil, hypothetically, right? Now, how to make it so teams can't spend I don't know, 1 million, a budget, a budget roster of $1 million. You look at KDF's roster this year. They've got a bunch of substitute players in doo-doo and top lane. That's a budget roster. Astralis has been running budget rosters. BDS runs a budget roster. TSM this year, pretty budget oriented. So these budget rosters, how to avoid it? You do this: a cap floor. Now, how much does that? Well, let's say it's 2.5. Let's say $2.5 million becomes the cap floor. What does that mean? Well, that means that's the floor. You have to spend more than at least, well, actually not more than, but at least $2.5 million. So you're not going to run a budget you could run a budget roster, but you're not going to want to pay absolutely players that aren't very good. If you can get away with paying them $300,000, you don't really want to pay them what would be probably $600,000, $750,000 to play. You don't want to do that. You want to say to yourself, if I have to spend $2.5 million, I might as well get what it's worth. That should prevent teams from going budget. They have to do something. You look at the NHL. The NHL, I want to say the salary cap's $89-90 million. Cap floor around 40 to 45. So teams must spend $40 to $45 million a year no matter what. And also in the NHL, teams will trade draft picks to teams to be like, hey, we have a really old player. We don't want to pay them anymore. We will trade you X player, team that wants to run a budget, so they can get up to this. So now they're going to have a player that's not as good but has a big price tag, and they'll give them a draft pick and say, hey, we're going to get you to the cap floor. We know you don't want to spend money or win, really. You're just doing this as a tax write-off, or you want a good draft pick. So we'll do this for you, and we'll give you a pick in addition to that, and you can get to the floor, because otherwise they are against, I think, the union bylaws. So that's a thing. That's a way to handle it. I think that's a good way to handle it. Owners aren't going to love this because they don't want to be forced to spend any amount. They don't want to be forced to do anything. If they could pay players nothing, they would pay players nothing. Players obviously want this number to be higher because they do not want teams to be in a position where they're like, well, we can't pay you X amount of dollars because we don't have enough cap space. It does limit players' salaries. It limits players where they can go in free agency. But I think that this is important as well. It's going to allow for more parity in the league. More people will watch the leagues. More people will be, you'll be willing to watch the bottom teams because they're not terrible. They're at least within reason of the top teams. There is more parity there. I think that's a very beneficial thing to do, to gain fans for the region, and also, might even save some people money. Because really in the LEC, two teams are going to find out real fast what it's like to not make money. Like none. Like they're going to make nothing with the way the schedule works. They're going to miss on a half a split completely. You're going to lose sponsorships. Sponsors aren't going to want to follow you. Fans aren't going to want to follow you because now the two budget rosters, the two teams that don't want to spend money, that kind of took a risk on cheaper options, they're the teams that are going to get screwed. And they only did it to themselves because they didn't want to spend money. I understand not everybody has a ton of money, but by franchising and saying, hey, I want a team in this league, in this game, you said you had the money. You had the investors, you had whatever you had. If you don't have them anymore, get out. Like, you don't deserve to be in there if you can't, be viable. I don't think that there is a world where some of these teams can actually sell what they're putting on the Rift and it look anything more than, wow, you're being cheap. You don't even want to win. This is a tax write-off. This is just not even like the game within the game. Like, this is a total game to you. It's not great. So, in my opinion, salary cap floor fixes a lot of the parity in all the regions. It makes it so the bottom tier teams have to spend a certain amount of money to be competitive. And because there is no draft in League of Legends, really, I know there is one in the LCS, but let's be real, there really isn't one of value. That should make it so tanking isn't a thing. What's there to tank for? You don't get anything. You don't get anything for finishing last place. Now, we're going to erase the board here. Talk a little bit. Oh, geez, I moved the board. I didn't want to do that. Where are we here? Okay, good. Had to make sure I'm still on my screen on the camera. So, fan engagement. Fan engagement is it's absent. There are no fans. We see the LCS viewership dropping. I'm not going to speak for the other three regions as much, but I think we can say fan engagement's down. At least in my opinion, I think fan engagement's down. You see viewership is down. And there are many ways I think you could fix that. If you look at other sports, ways that I know that I am more comfortable with because I have been a traditional sports fan for so long, that I think that there are some models to follow that especially the LCS and LEC can do. LPL and LCK, it's more difficult because they play multiple days a week, but I think that you can work around it to also have fan engagement and meet your fans where they're at, because a lot of fans, I believe, have questions about the games that are played. There are a lot of people that want answers, and a lot of people believe, well, they don't deserve the answer. I feel like players, coaches, GMs, they say to themselves, well, they're, we're not going to talk about it. I screwed up. I don't want to talk about it. I screwed up. No, I think there needs to be that transparency of I screwed up. And doing it in a tweet isn't enough. In my opinion, you look at pro sports. If your pro sports athletes did that, you'd be like, this is just a tweet to just kind of send. There is no, I'm not going to be able to connect with you if you do that. And as well, I believe that there is an opportunity for fan engagement before games. So in the NFL, so let's just say, for instance, this is the NFL. So LCK, LPL, it's not as easy. But you have the game. So you have the game, right? It's done. After the game, right after, You have a press conference, right? You have a press conference. Coach and a few players go out there. They answer questions for 10 minutes. They do what they got to do. We see some, I guess in the LCS, I think people like put in requests for players to do interviews, and they do one-on-one interviews, and that's what they do. I think it would be better if for instance, if I was like in a position to determine what a team would do, I would say to myself, you got the coach. Coach always has to show face. Coach always has to show face. So you have the coach. Coach goes out, has to, you do a YouTube video. You do this on YouTube maybe. Do it on TikTok. Do it on Twitter. Whatever you want to do. Whatever streaming platform you want to do. You want to do it on Twitch. Or you do all of them at once. You stream into all of them at once. But you say, hey, game's over. And I know people don't want to do this, but literally in pro sports, they do it. So you got to grow up and you got to engage with your fans. Your fans want to know what the hell happened. You know, you want to give the media the answers to the questions because they're going to put it out there. And you can connect that way and show some personality as well, whether it's emotion, good or bad. So fans don't look at you like you're just a robot out there. You have no personality. You have no accountability. You know, you're not happy when you win, sad when you're like, you know what I mean? Like, we know you're upset when you lose, but like, give us reasons why. You know, you have the coach go out there and, you know, do what you got to do. Answer questions. What do you think about what this was or that was? And you don't always have to have an answer. Like, oftentimes I see coach speak is, well, I haven't looked at the tape. Well, I haven't, you know, done this or that, or I need to talk to this person first. Those are valid answers, right? Those are valid answers. So a coach can go up there and say, someone asks, why did they make this decision? And you'll be like, well, based on the VOD or based on watching it just like you did, this is what I think they saw, but I still have to discuss it with them or whatever. Or why'd you do this in the draft? You know, if you don't want to give away strategy, you don't necessarily have to give away strategy. And you can say, I don't want to give away strategy, but we liked what we saw, or we didn't like what we saw, or what the read we got in scrims this week. You know, things like that. I think that's the sort of stuff that fans want to hear. And you have a coach do that, and you also have a captain do that. And this is a weird thing, because there is no captain in league, right? A lot of teams don't even have names on the back of their jerseys. No numbers. I mean, at least names, they're individualized. But I really believe, and I mean, maybe it's because I'm a big hockey fan. I love the thought of jerseys with numbers on the back. I love the thought of a jersey with a C on the front. I think that the C matters. Captain, the leader of the team. I believe the team itself should pick the captain before the season starts. They're the one that goes up there and they answer the questions before or after the coach does. They go, you know, this only has to be like 10 minutes each. And they go up there 10 minutes each and they, you know, answer questions. And they don't have to be 100%. And even if the person doesn't speak English, you can still have a translator up there. And I mean, I keep saying up there, but they could be sitting down in the team house or at the, you know, whatever facility your team is at. Or the, you know, wherever, the office, and answer the questions. Do what you got to do. You know, own up to the loss or be happy about a win. But I think that stuff needs to happen. And in the NFL, like, they do it after the game's over, but then the coach, just 1 second. Okay, so, sorry about that pause. So where was I? We were talking about this. Okay, coaches later on in the week, so let's say this is Sunday, right? The week for the coach, Monday, coach does it again for 10 minutes. Coach does it again for 10 minutes. Day after, or is this day after? Or in the case of the LCS LEC, it's the day after the second game, right? So if you have, so I'm a little all over the place, but that's just part of the deal, right? So if I do this, if we say to ourselves an LCS schedule, we've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, okay? And you've got games, you got a game and a game. You do these press conferences with the coach and the captain both of these days. And that's just part of it. That's part of engagement with your fans, engagement with media, a little bit of accountability. This day, it would just be the coach. And then you say to yourself, Monday, you do the coach again, captain again. And you're going to say to yourself, why are we doing all this? Hopefully you've stuck around this long. It's a very interesting thing to think about, at least in my opinion. So you do this, coach, captain, takes responsibility. Somebody's going to ask on Wednesday, say you lost, well, what you did today, or what are you going to take from today for tomorrow? This, these sorts of things. Plus, you see a lot of the interviews that are done by, great journalists and people in the scene, but they'll do it and then it comes out a week later, a few days later. No, fans want to know Wednesday night, when it's still fresh in their mind, why did CLG lose to C9? Or on a Saturday, why did G2 lose to Fnatic? Like, you want the answer then. That's when you give it, right? And fans don't always have the best questions, so somebody is going to have to, sift and filter through. But the best questions should be the ones asked. You do that, and you say to yourself, you do that again this day, and this day, so this is going to be Friday. Damn it. I don't even want to bend down. So, Friday, the coach is doing their thing, right? So, this day is going to be really a lot about, what do you think of the last couple days? What do you guys really got to focus on after this? What did, a lot of different things, right? Like, injuries don't happen, but oftentimes injuries are a thing. Some people may have the first couple questions about what next week's opponent's going to be, like say if C9 played CLG and TL, they might ask, on Friday, C9, their bot lane did really well against you. Are you prepared to face FlyQuest next week? Like what did you see that you need to change to be ready for FlyQuest next week? Things like that, like questions like that fans may want answers to. And then not only that, Monday, you do it again. Coach may not have as much to say. 10 minutes is just max. The captain, though, you have a lot of things. Maybe this person's played with a teammate before in the past. It's a former teammate's on the team they're facing. Maybe last year the team got knocked out by the other team. I don't know, like if you talk to TL, you're talking to Core JJ, and you ask, how do you feel about facing X team again that beat you and knocked you out of the playoffs last year? Like, those questions, I think, can be answered. And they need to be answered then. They don't need to be answered a week later because everybody has forgotten already. And you don't need to do a lot of editing with these videos. You're live streaming it and you just post it as a VOD, 10, 15 minutes. You see pro teams do it all the time. And I know that these orgs, their department, the people they have doing these videos and this content and stuff like that, it's not going to take you any time at all to do that. Now, setting it all up and stuff, I'm not going to pretend I don't know how to do that stuff. And I'm sure it's not that hard to record the screen of a Zoom call with the coach. You have a couple media members, like that's the way you do it. But really, if it's a Twitch stream or something, you just upload the VOD, right? You just upload the VOD. You upload the VOD of a YouTube video. Like, that's what you do. So I think that's the sort of stuff that you could do for fan engagement. Also, you got to think to yourself, why are these players not outside talking to the fans before games, after games? I understand after games you might want to go home. But we look at Worlds this past year. Where were the teams? Like, where were the orgs? It does not. I understand like travel costs, a couple $1,000s. You've only had him. You only made a $40 million investment. You said you had money, but now you don't. You're cutting corners. You're pinching pennies. But you should have this sort of stuff going on. You should have fan engagement going on, and I really believe that there's easy ways to connect with the fans to be a little bit more transparent, because fans have questions, they want answers, and you got to answer the hard questions. All these people give you softball questions, things, and I think that needs to change, because fans aren't stupid. These players are. I mean, the people criticizing you or are behind you, supporting you, are not stupid. So teams need to treat them with more respect. Otherwise, you're going to lose them. I believe each team should have a free agency press conference where they lay it all out there after they've done their final, signing, or it's official, like, okay, we're done. Our academy team's done. Our pro team's done. And say it's December 15th. And you do your press conference, you answer everybody's questions. Why did you pick this player? Did you talk to this player, this or that? You answer the questions. You don't always have to be, just tell everybody everything, but you need to be willing to connect with your fans, allow them to know what you're thinking, and to get a read on what's going on. They want to know what's going on with their team, and you need to give them an answer. You can't just sign a player and not give an answer, or give a little 2-minute video that's prepped by somebody, some intern that wrote something down for you. No, you've got to answer these questions off the cuff. Like, of course you're prepared. You know that they're going to ask you what questions. Like, if you lost a game and you lost a Baron fight, somebody's going to say, well, how would you replay that Baron fight? You already been thinking about that answer. You have an answer in your mind. But, it's better than it being written out for you, holding your hand. Someone else answering it for you. I think that this sort of stuff would increase people wanting to watch you play, connect with you. I think that it opens up a chance, if a captain's talking about a former team that they played against the last year, maybe they have some trash to talk, maybe they don't. But at the same time, you allow players to be themselves. Maybe it's not always a captain. Maybe you have another player go up there that maybe, the MVP of the game. You may say to yourself, you know what? Prince had a great game, even though Impact is the captain. I'm just saying because he's the oldest player on the team or whatever, most experienced, won Worlds. Maybe maybe Prince, was the MVP of the game, which is a good chance that'll happen at some point this year. You have him sit down and answer questions about it. Why? What did you like about this matchup? Why did you pick this? Why did you feel good about this 2v2 or this item? Maybe not a lot of people pick that item. Maybe the ruin choice, or what were you thinking in this moment? Like, and some people are gonna say, you know what, I don't remember, or I don't recall, or everything went by so fast. But at least it's some sort of connection. I think that's important. I think there's a lack of connection here. There's a lack of transparency, and I think it's really simple to do. I don't think that this is rocket science. I don't think that this takes a lot of time. You're asking players to do what? Coaches 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes, and a captain do 30 minutes a week. I don't think that that's a lot. I really don't. And you may say to yourself, well, in the contract, you can't make them do that. Well, when you have a free agent at your door and you're negotiating with them, you write down, hey, just so you know, our org is going to start this thing where we are going to try and be more transparent with our fans, and you may have to sit down for X amount of, answer questions after games for up to, like I said, 10, 15 minutes, or answer questions until you want to stop. But, this is what we want to do. And I think that would be helpful. Some people may not care because it's just team speak and coach speak, but I think it's better than literally people just assuming everything on Twitter, on Reddit, and just like players getting upset with players. Not players getting upset with fans, fans getting upset with players. Fans think that players don't work hard, they don't scrim, they don't do this, they don't do that. Well, maybe one of these days, someone asked, do you think that you guys scrimmed enough? Did you think that you know, were your scrims good? And the player can be honest, you know what, our scrims kind of, we hit a wall here, or we really struggled in scrims, or we did well. And there's no problem in being honest about that. I really don't think so. Because everybody can assume it, but if it's coming out of your mouth, at least they can relate to it a bit. Or you could say, I had a bad read on the meta. Like, I mean, no one wants to be wrong, but the fact of the matter is you're losing games, so you're already in the doghouse. You might as well try and be honest and straight up about it, and people can relate with the excuse. So that's it for this video. I know it was really rambly and random. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below with your opinions. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube member to keep the channel alive. And thank you for watching.